welcome to Nerds on the Couch, take 2.
Okay, I'm sorry. An hour and a half of us going ahead and doing this, and I didn't freaking hit the record button.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Down.
We're good.
We're good. Let's get this done.
We've been out of it for a couple of weeks. I know this because we've been in contract dispute with one of the members. We cannot talk about details, but let's just say somebody got their own dressing room, which is my bathroom, and a bag of them. We've been away, and now we're back. We just saw Man of Steel, and we're going to be talking about it. We're going to give you our thoughts, our reviews, and we're going to see if it's worthwhile to check out. Man of Steel basically is the story of Superman, in case you didn't know. I mean, Superman is a standard character. He's an icon. We all know who this character is. He's up there with Batman. So, how is this movie compared to the other, I guess we could say, 2 incarnations, because there was the 80s ones, and then there was Superman Returns, and now we're back with Man of Steel. Right? Initial thoughts, David?
Finally a Superman movie that makes Superman actually interesting. My biggest complaint has always been in a Superman movie, I wait for the supervillain, and I always said, it's as good as the supervillain was. And finally, here is a Superman that actually makes Superman interesting.
About this movie, okay. From what I saw, it's a good movie, but unfortunately, shaky cam, and this is during slow scenes and everything else, just made me sicker than a dog. I mean, having my cup there at the theater.
Not this cup. Okay.
Not that particular cup, but let me put it to you this way. I drank every piece of soda in there, and I refilled it without going back to the filling station. From what I did see, it was a good film, and that's the biggest reservation that I had to go ahead and put up with the shaky cam. There's only been there's certain movies, if I find out if it's shaky cam, I will just not watch. If I had known this, I would have
taken some Dramamine.
Russell Crowe, who plays Jor-El, was a great choice.
Perfect.
He played it solidly. He wasn't like just lying. To me, Marlon Brando in the original just comes out like, I'm here, I'm getting paid a whole bunch of bucks and doing this, and he was very stiff, very straightforward. Here, you actually feel for the guy.
I think kind of the difference in this movie, and if we're going to compare this one with that one, is Jor-El isn't a side character. Actually, he's a very important character in the movie. He's not just a side character. I think one thing they might complain about, which I have no problem with, which I kind of actually enjoyed, but I think people might complain about, is it's not a straightforward kind of pacing. It's not. It jumps around. At least right at the beginning, right, maybe the first hour, it jumps around a lot, which I appreciated it. I didn't have a problem with it, but I can see why people might.
Well, now you took us to the story, because the story leaps. You don't see all the drama like you see in the beginning, where the story's not told in order.
No, in the original Superman, you had, we're sending our baby off, then you see the baby arriving on planet Earth, and he's growing up, and no. In this one, the very next scene is him grown up on
I liked was that this was the reluctant Superman. He was not the clumsy, nerdish guy that Christopher Reeve acted, I'm sorry, put the glasses on, and he does all these dorky things, which I hated in the 80s.
Well, to be honest, we don't have a real Clark Kent reporter thing.
No.
Not really.
No. Here it's just a regular guy, and he does regular things. But a couple of people, in the beginning of it, people might get lost because they're expecting the standard Superman issues, but it doesn't happen. You see him on a fishing boat in an episode of The Deadliest Catch. You see him working at a bar. You see him have a little altercation with somebody at the bar. But we know he's Superman. We know this guy, Superman can get him and squish him into a whole bunch of things. Or
we see him as a school teacher now.
But you kind of
That
get a
would be
little hint.
interesting, yeah.
I kind of liked a little thing about how he got back, how he got the guy back.
Yeah.
Which kind of shows you that this is not your Superman, because the nice Superman wouldn't do that. It just let it slide. But no, this guy does something, that gets him back that only Superman would do.
The other thing is that, as I said in the very intro, this is a Superman finally that I'm interested in. And one of the things that made him that you do see in the flashbacks, and believe me, there are many flashbacks, but myself, I didn't think that they got in the way at all. But one of the things that I loved is that you see him in his childhood and his young adult. He's unsure. He's not little perfect boy, does everything right. He doesn't know, you see him freak out in the classroom. His mother has to come and help him understand what he's going through. More importantly, his mother, you see, finally. I mean, in all the other movies, I don't remember her speaking very much.
No, she was just back.
Well, for me, right at the beginning, you see how heroic his Kryptonian parents are. His Kryptonian parents are heroic. His dad, especially heroic. You'll understand when you see the movie, if you see the movie. Jor-El, damn, okay? Damn. And, the mom, you see the sacrifice the mom was willing to make for her son. We see how heroic the Kryptonian parents are, We could see why that, we could kind of see where some of that exists in Kal-El, When we talk about his human parents, we see that same heroism, especially his father. We see wisdom in his father, and there's a scene where he's very heroic. I mean, you have to see it, then you can't deny his father's heroic. And we see his mother's love. We see his mother's patience, which, like he said, we don't see much of the mom in other iterations. Usually the mom is an old lady by the time that everything comes around. Here, we kind of see an evolution of her being a mother, being there for her son.
Well, Henry Cavill to me was a perfect Superman. Physically, he looked the part. Physically, he looked it, but he acted it. You can, when I saw this guy acting Superman, I got the feeling that this is our hero. I was not afraid of him. I got the feeling that this is a guy who wants to help.
And also, one of the problems from Superman Returns is that they so desperately wanted to just recapture Christopher Reeve. And it was a mistake, because the thing is that they went too goody two-shoes with Superman.
Well, let me tell you my issue with that. I get that it was the 80s and you had to do things differently. But as I mentioned it before we saw it, the 80s Superman established itself right in the first moment.
Yeah.
The first moment, you had the music, which again, I kind of missed the music. I kind of wish I had the music. I love that Superman theme by John Williams.
Oh, yeah.
But the beginning of the first Superman movie in the 80s, the curtain opens, there's a comic book, you see a kid's hand opening up the comic book, and you see a little kid narrating it. So it's kind of, that sets the tone for the film. Here, no. It was gritty, it was serious, they handled it differently. The tone is completely way up.
And that's one of the things, is that they've finally been able to go ahead and break away from that Superman and create something that, I'm sorry, I'm not sorry, I'm happy that throughout this film, I, not once until the very end, thought of Christopher Reeve.
Okay. One thing I will say, though, that they did great with Zod is we understand his motivation. Okay. And that's the great thing about it. We know why he's doing it. We know why he's power hungry. We know why everything he's doing. In a certain light, you could say Zod is heroic. In a certain light. You know what I mean? If you're a Kryptonian and you want to live, you would say Zod is heroic, okay? You're not going to say he's not, right? On the other hand, another point that you mentioned, and both of you mentioned that it was real and gritty, which I heard those before. I heard that when they were talking about The Dark Knight, how it was real and gritty. funny. Okay, the thing that I loved about this one, they respected the character. Okay, they had a lot of respect for the character. The character, everything the character did made sense. There
All the
wasn't
characters.
any.
Let me point out one thing. Superman is not Batman.
Oh, by no means.
No,
Dark Knight.
at all.
It's not the Dark.
Well, Batman. Okay, that's who he is. Batman. Dark Knight, whatever, it's Batman. This Superman, even though it's a grittier world he's in, he's still the hero. He's still a light.
He is.
He is a light. I mean, he seems approachable. If you see Superman, you know he'll come in. Say, "Can I help you?" You know, and he'll give you a hand and pull you up. No,
Yeah.
Batman would, but he'll have that gritty face. And
Yeah, well, that's okay. What I'm talking about is whatever Superman does makes sense. Or in this movie, whatever the Man of Steel, whatever Kal-El does, it makes sense. You understand why it makes sense. There's been other iterations with other heroes I'm not going to mention because we go on forever. That his actions make no sense at all. There is no sense why he does anything. And I'm not going to get started because I said it's very crazy. But you know what I mean, and if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I mean. Okay.
If you guys know us, you know what we're talking
If you know what we're talking about, you know what we're
Yeah,
talking
we know what you know what we hate.
was Ante Trout,
Yeah.
Priora. She was a female Kryptonian. She was amazing.
She was hot.
And the other thing that I want to mention, just as much as the Klingons had some awesome suits, the Kryptonians in this film have awesome combat suits.
I love the
Really
tech.
good.
I love the
yeah.
alien. You really saw this was alien tech. And
Beyond what we could create on
even
Earth.
I was watching this movie and I kept thinking, how can Superman save the day from an alien invasion? It's just him. You know, to me, this was like, oh, call in the Justice League, you know, and then, okay, you got like superheroes fighting aliens. No, this was just one guy. And I was involved. I was thinking, how's he going to do this? How's he going to save the day? Because, you know, the one scene he fought with that female Kryptonian, that was vicious.
Oh God, yes.
That was a vicious, vicious fight. And that's the Superman I wanted to see. I've been yearning to see that. You know, I've been yearning to see buildings going, you know, Superman flying across buildings, getting smashed through,
buildings.
Cars smashing against each other.
And we're sorry, Denny's, for what happens
Yeah.
to with
It was
some
Let's start with you, Orly, because you suffered through this movie.
Yeah, I suffered.
Suffered.
I'd say about
Keyword.
75% of the movie I had to close my eyes because shaky cam kills me. And also, you can't get past the fact that I refilled that soda cup without going to the fountains. So, considering that I couldn't watch the film with trepidation and, you know, with reservation, the fact that I couldn't watch it, I have to give it a B, which is an 80 to me. I would have loved the film if I could have taken it. If I would have had some warning, you know, Dramamine.
I will go ahead and give this an A+. Quite frankly, finally there's a Superman movie that makes Superman himself interesting, and I like it not necessarily because of the villain was good, but because I find Superman interesting.
The shaky cam, I didn't think was needed. I would have liked to see some more standard shots. And it did, you know, I think the director was going trendy, because that's a trend right now. I think the downside to me, and very minute, okay, there were some cliches. Didn't bother me too much, but again, there were some cliches in there. I thought some parts were a bit long, because the movie is 2 hours and 20 minutes. And now again, we do get our fair share of Superman.
Yeah.
Superman is the center of this movie. Other superhero movies, you know, the villain is the center of it. No. This
No, you
one,
got Superman very much all the way.
Yeah, Superman is the center of this movie, and that's a plus. The villains to me worked. So again, going in, I gotta say there's more pluses than negatives here. The storyline to me was great. Special effects were absolutely outstanding. The acting was great. I officially declare Henry Cavill as my Superman. He really, really carried this movie. Russell Crowe, to me, was the second brilliant actor in this movie. He really stood out. Amy Adams as Lois Lane worked, but there's issues where I'm kind of like, what is she doing? Not so much, but again, this movie worked. This was the movie that we needed and deserved.
You knew it was coming.
So I give this movie a solid A+. Right? And I point to you, Lassie, because you were the negative one.
Yeah, I you know what? I didn't expect much from Green Lantern. I wasn't disappointed. I saw it and I was like, when I first saw the trailer, I don't think this is going to be good. I wasn't wrong. It wasn't good. And Dark Knight Rising, I had high expectations. Like, oh, it's going to be brilliant. And no, it was brilliantly bad. Okay, but I saw somebody's name attached to this movie that made me worried. So I went in this movie with a lot of reservations. So I'm pleasantly surprised that it was great. It was a great movie. I enjoyed it. Like I said, I kind of agree with him. My only kind of weakness was Lois Lane. She was okay in the movie, but that's it. She was just okay. Everybody else, I think, was brilliant.
Do you think she was better than Kate Bosworth in Superman Returns?
Kate Bosworth?
I would say
yeah, but I would have to say that has more to do with writing than acting. You know what I mean? I still give it an A+.
She isn't Margot Kidder, totally, bumbling her way through everything.
So we're warning you right now, they're not completely copying Marvel's take, so there's no need to stay for the credit. There's nothing at the end. So we got 3 A+ plus an 80, which I'm sure would have been higher if he watched it.
If I could have actually watched the film.
And we're looking forward, I gotta say, I'm looking forward to Man of Steel 2, and I'm looking forward to the Justice League.
Please, no shaky cam.
I'm looking forward to everything else, dude. I want to see a Batman, Wonder Woman, New Green Lantern, Flash especially. I want to see a Flash movie, okay?
I want to see a better Green Lantern movie, because the Green Lanterns, I like Green Lantern. So hopefully now we see a better one. But that's our review. I promise you we're going to be back. We are back full time. We're going to be doing more videos, more shows. Stay tuned. Watch us on Facebook.com/Nerds OAC. And we got more to watch. So catch us. Bye.
Adios.
Where'd you go? No! No!
Clark Kent to be the reporter. You expect him to
Clean cut all the way.
Sorry.
You never expect to go ahead and see Superman, though you do see it in the previews, and it made me a little interested in this. Seeing him with the beard.
Yeah. And
He's not the clean cut.
and he's doing a regular job.
Mm-hmm.
And sorry.
But going in line with what you said, it's not the Superman we're expecting, but we've seen something recently that it was the same thing, where they tried to do the same thing. They showed you something that wasn't unexpected. The difference here is they respected the character, which I liked. There's things you're not going to expect in the movie, but it stays true to who the character is.
Are we talking about a certain Alan?
No.
No, don't worry about it.
No.
Okay.
Hangover 3 sucked.
Yes.
But,
Yeah. Agreed.
all in favor that Hangover 3 sucked? Aye. Motion's carried. It officially sucks.
Give it to him.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But